If there's one thing the fashionable French can never be accused of, that is being frumpy. Avant-garde 100%, and in motoring terms, that would be where Citroën fits in. When it comes to Peugeot, and in particular the all-new 2008, they are very in vogue. And in a segment that is dominated by looks and image, you really are going to struggle to find a car that is hotter looking than the 2008. You know what I also really enjoy in the segment? So often if you want the looks, you've got to go for the top spec. But seen here is the entry-level Active. Let me go through a couple of the standout design features. The flat bonnet clamshell look that seems to be the new thing. Suzuki have been doing it for years. The bonnet itself, a feature, linking A-pillar to A-pillar, squaring up the front end with the character creases and 2008 lettering finishing things off. You'll need the top spec GT with its full LED projector headlights if you want the 3-claw feature. The saber-tooth slash for the LED daytime running lights are standard across the range. Our entry level makes do with xenon headlights and doesn't have front fogs, but the rear 3-claw LED light cluster is standard across the range. And of course the blacked out checkered grille. Each trim has their own unique design. A very cool feature, but a real pain in the ass from a stock perspective. The black cladding and the trim looks really good against white. The blacked out C-pillar, the dark and light clusters, and obviously this upsweep on the rear doors really creates that coupe-like look that consumers absolutely love. But what is very clever is that they haven't gone and sloped the roofline, so you're not compromising on headroom. Plenty of space here, and the legroom actually isn't bad either. I tell you what would have been great though, had they have added in a sliding rear seat like you get in the T-Cross, because that really would have just ramped up the practicality and the functionality. You're not going to get any USB chargers in the rear in the entry level. That'll be in the higher spec versions, and there are no air vents either, but all in all, really comfortable and good space. But it's the dimensions that are really interesting for me, because it's positioned and priced to take on cars like the T-Cross, the Venue and the Vitara, but it's hardly a compact crossover. With these dimensions, it squares up against bigger cars like the VW T-Roc, the Volvo XC40 and BMW's X2. With looks to boot and nowhere near the price point. Speaking about boot, it is actually really impressive. 434 litres, and obviously flipping the seats forward is just going to open up more practical space. Now, where the T-Roc really is a hatchback pretending to be a crossover, at 210mm, the 2008 really can clear some ground. The Active runs standard on 16-inch alloys, but the rest of the range make do with some really striking 17-inch diamond-cut alloys. But crucial for me is actually the profile of the tyre that they are using. It gives you a really clear indication that this 2008 realizes what it means to be a crossover. One notable omission though with the entry-level Active, there are no roof rails. Now usually in car I'm rattling on about performance and handling, but that can wait when you've got an interior like this to get excited about. And it's not just about the look and the layout, but also about the feel, the materials that they've used. It feels quality, and this is the entry level. I like the wraparound layout. It's cut back and sloped with a carbon effect finish, and it creates a floating top cockpit level that is 100% driver focused. The 7-inch infotainment screen and the 3.5-inch instrument display, as well as the controversial multifunctional compact steering wheel, form part of what Peugeot call their iCockpit. And honestly, I don't know what all the fuss is about with this compact steering wheel. You know what you must do? Just imagine you're a top flight racing driver, because the wheels that they use aren't too dissimilar to the Peugeot's wheel. So maybe it just requires a bit of a mind shift. But The challenge, I think, is we are so used to setting ourselves up in our driving position to look through the wheel so we can see our dashboard. Obviously, you can't do that with this wheel. So even though it's got height and reach adjustment, the height adjustment is limited to ensure that you always have visibility over the wheel to look at your dash readings. In my driving position, really comfortable because I can lower the driver's seat, and like I said, it has got reach, so pretty cool. And the feel of the wheel is really good. In actual fact, the driving dynamics of the 288, it's pretty engaging. I like it. And they've done a great job taking a basic cloth finish and upstyling it to look premium. The stitch accents also subtly match the door and dash panels, with a specific color defining the 3 different spec levels. It is really well spec'd. Push to start, rear park distance control, electric mirrors and windows, auto headlights, rain sensing wipers, cruise control, and these cool toggle switches for quick access to the important functionality, and of course smartphone connectivity for both Apple and Android devices. And crucially for me, the entire 288 range comes with all of the safety acronyms that you need. Most importantly, always for me, traction control and vehicle stability control, and it's also got 6 airbags, which is really cool. There's only one engine to choose from, and that's a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine, but there are 2 outputs and also 2 transmissions. We are in the manual, and that only comes in the base active model, and that's also got the lowest output, 74 kilowatts and 205 newton meters. The minute you choose to get into the convenience of an automatic, whether it is active, allure, or top of the range GT, the performance is bumped up. You get 96 kilowatts and 230 newton meters, which sounds pretty spot on with its competitors on paper. Now, as is often the case when you've got a small capacity turbo having to lug around a fairly big body, turbo lag, especially in auto, becomes a reality. Now, I obviously haven't driven the auto. I've just been experiencing the manual transmission, so I can't comment on it. But this manual, obviously we are down the coast, has a really good feel, and the ratios are good because you actually find yourself not needing to work through the gearbox all the time because the power delivery is very low down, 1750 RPM. But it's the push. It's kind of relentless. It doesn't stop. Oh, it's actually a really punchy little engine. It makes for quite an engaging drive. But I think for me, most impressive is the entire package, and that starts from the ground up. Obviously, they're using their updated common modular platform, but it's also the damper settings and the spring rates. This is a vehicle that is geared up to do crossover work really well. The drive is comfortable. I mean, we're on these back country roads, which are very choppy and bumpy, and it soaks up those bumps really well. It's also obviously helped by the fact that it's running on those thicker profile tires, so that's certainly going to work. But I think, I haven't taken it on gravel roads, but with this type of setup, it's really going to soak up the rough stuff as well. So they've really done a fantastic job with that. But I'm also talking about the insulation. There is not a lot of cabin noise. I've had no wind noise coming off the mirrors. You hardly even hear the little 3-cylinder engine doing its thing. The cabin insulation is really fantastic. So this is a car that is delivering a really solid package. And pricing is really competitive too, starting at 365,000 Rand for the active manual, and there's also an active auto. The middle spec Allure is priced just under 440,000 Rand, while the range-topping GT will set you back just shy of 490,000 Rand. All models come with a 3-year 60,000 kilometer service plan and a 5-year 100,000 kilometer warranty. Now, usually when we are on launches or we've got our press vehicles to review, they are always the top of the range, loaded with all of the extras. So I went to Kelston Motors here in Port Elizabeth and said to them, listen, I want to drive the new 288. Please, can you put me in the base active model? You might be wondering, why the hell? Why would I want to do that? Well, it's quite simple. Because there is nowhere to hide. And if it is good, adding all of the frills and the other creature comforts, it's only going to add to the experience. And as is so often the case with the French offerings, they come so well spec'd at standard level that you really don't need to tick many options, and that is exactly the case with the 288. This active has everything that you need. Granted, you might want to have the very cool 3D eye cockpit, or maybe it's the LED projector headlamp so you get the little claw detailing. Maybe it's those 17-inch diamond cut alloys that you're after. It's not going to do too much to change how the car looks, how it feels, the perceived quality, and the actual experience of the drive. South African consumers have given French brands a bad rap. And to be honest, in recent times, I think it's mostly unfounded. What definitely hasn't helped is the uncertainty around the ownership of Peugeot and Citroën, but that's now all been resolved globally. For me, I think where the Clio was that mind shift for Renault, the 2008 has to be it for Peugeot. It's just so good, it's really tough to beat in the segment, but given its looks, specification, its dimensions, its price point, it's going to rattle a couple of cages higher up the rung.